Go ahead.
Our mission, Helping Parents Heal, is a nonprofit organization dedicated to assisting bereaved parents to become shining light parents by providing support and resources to aid in the healing process. We go a step beyond other groups by allowing the open discussion of spiritual experiences and evidence for the afterlife in a non-dogmatic way. Affiliate groups welcome everyone, regardless of religious or non-religious background. Attendance today at this meeting is voluntary, and we are here for the benefit of learning from and sharing with other parents whose child has passed away. It is understood that our discussions are intended to be confidential and not designed to replace traditional therapy or spiritual counseling. However, these Zoom meetings are helpful to parents all around the world, and they are posted on YouTube so that affiliate members who are not able to attend this meeting live can also watch. Helping Parents Heal offers a wide variety of speakers to allow parents to be informed about many possible ways to heal, to connect with their children, and to learn about the afterlife. The views expressed by our guests do not necessarily reflect those of Helping Parents Heal, and we ask that you take from their presentations whatever may benefit you personally. Welcome, everyone. We're so glad you're here, and thank you, Suzanne, for being here this evening.
Yes, we're thrilled that Suzanne is here, and I'm going to read a short bio so that you all know a little bit more about her, although most everyone in our group already knows everything about Suzanne.
Not everything.
Not everything, but Suzanne has already spoken at our first conference. She's going to be a presenter at our second conference, and she's also one of the hugest supporters of Helping Parents Heal. She's a messenger of hope and the founder and teacher of The Awakened Way, a path to knowing who you are and why you're here. She is a former U.S. Navy commander who served as a commanding officer and aide to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff on 9/11. Today, Suzanne provides stunning evidence of the existence of universal consciousness and our interconnectedness. Suzanne is the author of 13 books. She has been a keynote presenter for organizations including Edgar Cayce's Association for Research and Enlightenment, the Academy for Spiritual and Consciousness Studies, the Afterlife Research and Education Institute, and the International Association for Near-Death Studies. She has led weekend retreats at well-known spiritual centers, including Omega Institute, Lily Dale Assembly, the Monroe Institute, and Unity Village. She has written and narrated the popular Mediumship series of Hemi-Sync recordings. Suzanne's gift of evidential mediumship has been tested and verified. Her work has been recognized as highly credible by noted afterlife researchers and organizations. Whether in her books and CDs, her classes and workshops, her Messages of Hope Unity online radio show, or her one-on-one sessions, Suzanne brings messages of hope, healing, and love that go straight to the heart and illuminate the light of self-awareness within. I just want to let you know that she's actually now the author of, 14 books, because she's an author of our newest book, Life to Afterlife, Helping Parents Heal, the book. And we are very grateful that she not only wrote a chapter about her beautiful stepdaughter, Susan, but also wrote a foreword. You can learn more about her at www.suzannegiesemann.com. And without further ado, please join me and everyone else, and Irene and everyone, in welcoming Suzanne Giesemann. Welcome, Suzanne.
Hey, good evening, everybody. So good to be with you all. That introduction, my gosh, I think the evening's over already. It was so long. Oh my goodness. I just came from Unity Village in Missouri a couple weeks ago. I spent 12 hours in the recording studio, not all at once, but pretty close, recording my book, Still Right Here, for Audible. It'll be my third book on audiobook, and I hope you all are familiar with that book. And it's the story of how Elizabeth and Cyril and Irene and Tony and Lynn Holohan, her husband Jeff, and Ty, my husband, and I came to know each other through our kids across the veil. We were set up by them. And rereading the story, it's been quite a few years since I wrote it, since we experienced it, brought it all flooding back. And I have learned over the years, when dealing with people who are in grief, to keep my emotions in check, to remain kind of neutral so that I can do my job as a medium. But reading that book, reading the stories, the background of our kids and how they pass, it was very emotional. And there were a couple times where I was really glad to get to the end of a chapter because I just let it out and actually cried a couple of times, which is very unusual for me. But the emotion and the love that we all shared was so intense. And that's what struck me so much about the experience of going on a vacation with these 4 couples. Unlike anything I've ever experienced with others. And it was because, number one, our kids were with us and made their presence known. And number 2, the shared experience of having a child cross and yet knowing they're still with us, just instant bond, so much love with all of us present. I know that many of you are in deep grief now, and I love that there's this journey that we all take, and that Helping Parents Heal includes people at various points on that journey, and that you can look at others and say, just like I read twice in that book, say, I'm not where you are yet, but I want to be. And you can be, and you're in the right place. So thanks to those who keep this organization going. That's why I'm such a supporter of it. I don't want you to be like some people that go to support groups for a decade and just know you're going to come out sad from the meeting. We don't want that. It's okay to be sad, but we want to celebrate our kids. So let's do that tonight. My life has changed so much since my stepdaughter passed, and I think about it today. In some ways, I feel like I don't fit in because I have such a different worldview now than I did 12 years ago, or how long ago since she passed? 15 years ago. But since then, through connecting with those who have passed daily, I have truly come to know this life in human form is so limited compared to what our kids are experiencing now. I guarantee you they are free, they are surrounded by love, and they are visiting you all the time. They drop in on you, you may not be aware of it. All you have to do is think of them. It just activates this cord between your energy field, your heart, and theirs. And they're right here with you. My friend in spirit, Brenda, who's my mediumship guide now, has made it clear, there is only here. And to understand that, you have to get out of the human perspective where we say, wait, I'm looking across the room, there's there, heaven is out there. That's from the limited human point of view. But what we learn by connecting with the souls who have passed is once you leave the body and the earthly realm behind, you are in a whole different state of being, and it's limitless. There are rules for how the spirit world works, just like there are rules for how this world works. And what I mean is, for example, in the physical world, we have the rule of gravity. We can't levitate. We have the rule of only being in one place at a time because we have place and time. But in the spirit world, they don't have place and time. So your kids can be visiting you and their siblings and their grandparents all at the same time in awareness. It boggles our mind, but we hear evidence of this all the time. So I'll just share snippets of that as we go. But just understand that the two worlds are interpenetrating. They're right here. And so just think of them. I know it's frustrating for a lot of you because we talk about the signs and we share the evidence, and you say, well, where's mine? Where's my signs? Well, they're trying. Trust me, they're trying. So this awakened way that was in the biography, what I share with people now, that is a way of living. And it's the way I live now. And it's a way that will help you wake up every morning and know I'm so much more than this body. And it's very simple. every time I give a talk, I want to make sure people understand what it's like to live the awakened way. And it's just understanding three very simple things, that we are all souls now. Your kids didn't become souls when they passed. They already were souls and still are. So are you. And that's why you can connect with them. You just have to learn how to access your soul state of awareness. And that's what all of my teaching is designed to help people understand how to do that. And it's why you can connect with your kids. So that's the first thing about being awakened. It's just that I am not this limited being. And when we suffer and when we're stuck in human mode, that's when you have forgotten you are both. Doesn't mean you stop suffering, but it's a lot less once you realize I can shift my perspective. The second principle of living the awakened way is to understand that we are part of one big web. Like I said, the worlds interpenetrate each other, not just the spirit world and our earthly realm, but the archangelic realm, the master's realm, other worlds. We are multi-dimensional beings. And once you start seeing the signs, once you start sitting in the silence and connecting with the other realms, you'll understand more and more of that. And it makes life miraculous and fun and amazing. Does it mean we don't have human moments? Oh my God, I had mine this morning. Oh, I lost it in a very human way. But you get it back when you train yourself to shift to that spacious state of being that your kids are in now. And the third aspect of the awakened way of living is to understand that you make that connection with others through your energy field and through the heart, not by thinking, not by reasoning, not by logic. We got to set that logical stuff aside and trust. So that's a brief summary of living the awakened way. And all of that came from a young man across the veil named Wolf. I hope you are familiar with my book, Wolf's Message. I'm going to see his parents, Mike and Beth, this weekend. They've now become dear friends too. What is it about us shining light parents? We just bond like this. So they have a son across the veil, and he came back to share this teaching that rocked my world and is rocking a lot of people's world when they read how he passed, how his soul knew how he would pass, and that he came back through me with amazing evidence to let us know all the things I just shared with you. So evidence is so important to me. With my military background, I wouldn't be where I am today if it weren't for those across the veil proving their presence with things the medium I first went to looking for Susan shared with me, and now as a medium, the things I couldn't possibly know about other people's kids. So I will share with you a few of my favorite stories here in just a minute. But for me, the test of any reading, no matter who the medium is, if they're brand new or if they're famous, it doesn't matter. The test when you have a reading with the medium is, do you leave that reading and you say, that was my child. That was my child. I've left plenty of readings when I was the client or the sitter and said, well, I'm just not sure. And that happens. And I don't know if my clients leave my readings that way. And if they do, I hope I recognize that it didn't go well. That happens to all mediums, but okay, we'll just say it. A good medium will have the majority of their readings where the client leaves and says, that was my child. So this is one of the reasons why I'm such a supporter of helping parents heal, because they vet their mediums that are on their providers list. I looked into the process that they use to say this medium should be on our list, and it is a good one. It's a very good process. So these days, I need to let all of you know before I share my stories, I'm still working through my waiting list. I just now have it down to 700 people. There are people I'm just getting to that have been waiting 3 years, and that's why I'm not taking new clients right now. But it really is wonderful for me to be able to say, even if you had anybody that reaches out to me, even if they don't have a child across the veil, go to helpingparentsheal.org, look at their provider list. Those mediums have been tested. You can trust them. So that's my little spiel about that. But let's see. Let me share a couple stories. So here's one of my favorite ones. I was really new to mediumship, but not so new that I wasn't teaching about spirituality and meditation. I'd probably been doing readings for 5 years, and I was teaching a course at a spiritualist church in Northern Virginia. My first mediumship book was the biography of medium Anne Gaiman, who I just heard she passed. Nobody let me know. So she has reunited with her beloved husband, Wayne. People think I'm the medium in The Priest and the Medium. I was not a medium when I wrote that book. Susan had passed, but now they think that my husband, Ty, was a priest. No. So it was all about medium Anne Gaiman and her husband, Wayne. Well, I went to teach a class at Anne's church, and people were excited. I love the good energy when people come to my classes, but there was this couple in the front row, and they were sitting back like this. They were really kind of shut off. And I thought, wow, that's not my normal kind of participants. Well, came time for the break. Just before the break, I looked up and I sensed a young boy standing behind them. They were in the front row, and he went like this, and he waved at me. Y'all have to understand, this was a shocker to me because I normally do not sense people's loved ones when I'm doing a workshop, and I rarely sense them in that way. I could count on one hand the time I've actually seen them like I saw this young boy. So I went up to his mom on the break and I said, I need to tell you, I know why you look so sad. You have a son who passed, and he was standing right behind your husband and you, and he waved at me. And she looked a little stunned. I had nothing else to tell her other than that. And she said, okay. Well, after the break, she came back in. She walked up to me and she said, as we're getting ready to start again, my husband will be in a few minutes. He has to get himself together. When I told him what you said, he lost it. And here's why. Their son knew he was going to pass. He had cancer, and he and his dad talked about what life would be like after he was no longer there. And his son had him take a picture of his hand, and he put it up on the bulletin board in his bedroom. And there it was. And before the couple came to my workshop, they knew they were flying from out of state. Dad, unbeknownst to mom, went into their son's bedroom, sat down on the bed, and looked at his son's hand. And he said, Doug, I don't know how this mediumship stuff works, and I don't know what's going to happen at this class. But if there's some way you could get a message through to me, maybe you could wave at me. Oh, man. To have me, who rarely sees the spirits, sense this young boy, when I'm not even tuning into spirits, waving at me, that young man did a really good job. And so then I knew I had to do a reading for them. So I offered them a reading. And after I got back home, I looked at my calendar, and the only day I had available was Thanksgiving. And I called them and I said, how about a Thanksgiving gift? Let's connect to your son. So we got him on the phone. This was back when we were only doing phone readings. Zoom didn't even exist then. And reading got off to a little bit of a rocky start, but oh man, did it click in when all of a sudden I said, your son is talking about a ranger. And mom goes, ah. And I always tell everybody, for a medium, that is the best noise ever. Because it means you have just struck a chord. This is a good one. And I said, wait. He says, not Ranger, Ranger Rick. And now mom starts sobbing on the phone, because it turns out their son used to love going to his grandfather's farm, and they had all kinds of farm vehicles. And they had one of those all-terrain vehicle, utility vehicles with the Ranger logo on the back. That was the brand. And he named that Ranger Rick. And he loved riding that so much on the farm that he was actually buried on his grandfather's farm. His grandfather was a retired Marine colonel. And, you know, the Navy and the Marine have this little thing where we playfully play with each other. And that colonel contacted me and he said, you know, I thought all you mediums were scam artists, but I've tried to think, how would I get through to my loved ones if I was across the veil? I'd need to give them something that nobody knew. And he said, Commander, you done good. And so I thought that was pretty cool. But the reading went on with a lot more than just Ranger Rick. He talked about his personality and he gave his siblings a hard time. He talked about being pretty darn crabby when he was sick and showing that he was actually like a little spoiled and demanding of his parents and apologizing for that. And of course they understood that because he wasn't feeling well. After the reading, the emails back and forth were flying as mom and dad were validating, oh, we sent the recording to grandpa and everybody loves this and they love that. And then the dad emailed me and he said, you know, his sister is a little disappointed because she had hoped her brother would single out a special gift that he gave to her before he passed. And I said, I'm sorry we didn't get that, but I hope she understands that he was there. And I sent the email and then all of a sudden I had these images pop in my mind. And I got back on the email and I said, your son just dropped in on me and he showed me a gorilla. And this is really strange, but I don't know if your daughter did ballet, but he's showing me a ballerina in a tutu. But this is for his sister. Just let her know that Doug got this through for her. Well, it wasn't long till the email came back with a photo of the gift that Doug gave his sister before he passed. Are you ready for this? It was a stuffed gorilla in a tutu. And his dad said, you just can't make up gorillas in tutus. I have never forgotten that one. And I hope that a lot of you haven't heard it, but even if you have, it just is so much fun to tell it again, because that is the kind of stuff you absolutely can't make up. And the whole point of mediumship is to show that we do survive death, that we are still part of the family. I am never happy with the reading unless the spirits, those in spirit, show me, I just heard something I'm supposed to tell you, show me something going on in your life now. Because they know even the most mundane things. Oh, you spilled a glass of water this morning. Oh, you ate some popcorn before you came into the reading, because they see you doing these things. What was it I was supposed to say? Oh, I called them spirits. They said, don't call my guides, don't call them spirits. They're not just wispy smoke with no characteristics. They are recognizable people. They are still people, just don't have the body anymore, okay? So let's see. Oh, okay, so another one of my favorites is a young boy. What is his name? Evan Meader. I have permission to share all these stories. How did Evan pass? Oh, he had a deformity from childhood. He had over 100 surgeries, and one of those surgeries went bad, and he passed very unexpectedly. What a little sweetheart he is. I was going to say was. He showed what he was like, but oh, he came in so clearly. I said, I'm seeing a fireman in a uniform. I don't know why a little boy would be showing me that. Maybe his dad is a fireman. I like to have more clarity, but I'll give what I get. And mom later sent me a photo of little Evan in a full fireman suit. And it was a photo she had just been looking at of him. So many things in that reading mom identified with. The personality is so important for me to capture everybody's unique essence, because we all have our own way. And she just knew that was her son. And I said, she's talking about your other son, his brother, being a voracious reader. She said, oh, he is. And I said, now your son's talking about Harry Potter. And mom said, oh, well, his brother's 14, but he has never gotten into Harry Potter, not at all. And I checked. I said, no, Evan says Harry Potter. And she said, no, I'm sorry, Suzanne, it's just never been interested in it. And this is at the time when this one happened, I said, well, I must be wrong. These days, I have so learned to trust the spirits, because I should have said, and these days I would say, Well, just remember it came up because I trust the spirits. So it was that weekend after the reading. Mom had not shared the reading with Evan's brother. She said her brother walked into the kitchen and said, Mom, can you take me to the library? I think I want to try those Harry Potter books. She said she about dropped the glass she had in her hand. She wrote to me and she said, I was absolutely breathless. I think my heart stopped because she hadn't shared anything with his brother. She sent me a photo of her other son holding his library card. What does this tell us? That our loved ones absolutely put thoughts in our head. I could talk to you till tomorrow morning without stop about examples of loved ones putting thoughts in our head, but we think they're ours. This is how they guide us. And I'm making this motion because that's what the spirits show me. They make charades, and this means I'm guiding my siblings, or I'm now guiding my mom, putting thoughts in their head. So those of you who say, I don't get signs, they're not around, you just don't realize it yet. So if we could give them more credit, I know they would appreciate that. So once I've gotten to know a spirit through a reading, occasionally they drop in on me unexpectedly, and I recognize them because I have sat with them. I know their personality. Ty and I can see exactly where I was. We were in Montana. We travel half the year on tour. And I was out for a walk and I said, oh my God, Ty, that little boy Evan is here. And he's showing me chocolate chip cookies. His mom is baking chocolate chip cookies right now. And he has a message for her. So I go back, I get her on email, say, your son is showing me chocolate chip cookies and his message for you is, he will always be your little boy. This message is so important for all of you, whether you have a son or a daughter across the veil. Mom wrote back to me and said, Suzanne, I was baking chocolate chip cookies yesterday. And I sat there thinking about Evan, who would have loved to be eating the batter right now. And I got to thinking, gosh, if I'm not going to join him now, by the time I pass, he could be an adult. And I wonder if he'll have a big beard. I wonder if I'll even recognize him. And here comes this message. Mom, I'll always be your little boy. And he had assured her that he would be able to look exactly like he looked when she last saw him. And then he would morph into however he wanted to look. So right away, that shows us, again, aware of what you're doing when you're doing mundane things, and very much aware of your thoughts, which is why it really is important to upgrade our thoughts. It is okay to be sad, but they don't want to be sitting there hearing you say they're gone, when they are here, they're here. I hope these stories help you to understand that. Here's a question I can hear a lot of you asking right now. Does my grief get in the way of me sensing their presence? It can. I know when I'm grieving, whoever it is, even if it's a pet, it's a very low vibration, but we have to go through it. And I just know that this grief will come in waves. I can't do a reading when I'm in that state. I have trouble connecting with my guides, but I know they're right here. So it passes. And we listen to our thoughts and we become aware of them. Read other people's stories. Keep going to meetings like this. And you will slowly come out of that fog and start to sense more. I guarantee it. And I guarantee you they're trying to connect with you. Let's see.
One of the things that people are asking a lot in the chat box, because they love you so much, is about your next teaching session. So maybe you could just tell people when the next opportunity to be able to take classes from you would be.
Okay. Well, if you want to do it in person, we're about to announce a class of the level 1 mediumship class in Charleston, South Carolina. That'll be in January. And my level 2 will be in Savannah in April. That's for people who really want to do one-on-one readings, who want to practice with each other in the classroom setting. So you got to put yourself on the spot. But I also have a new course called Personal Mediumship Plus and it don't require anybody to pair up with each other. Do I have any of those coming up? Well, I have one tomorrow, no, Saturday, and a couple slots left in Pittsburgh next month. But that course is also online as a video course. And through the Shift Network, I have a course called Answering the Sacred Call of Mediumship, which we're going to rerun starting in December. It's a video course, but I'll be coming on live for Q&A every week for 7 weeks. So you can get that course now through my website. But if you want to join me live for the Q&A each week, hang in there till December. Be on my newsletter list, on my email list, and you'll know when that course is announced. We'll be announcing that shortly. So thank you for that.
So
And
I'm going to ask a question, I think.
Oh, Suzanne, yes, Gertie's asking, how do you tell your voice from your child's in your head?
Through personal experience, I can tell you that when Susan comes through, when my friend Brenda, who I know intimately, comes through, it's their voice. Now, Brenda, just thought transfer. I don't even need a voice. So I would hope that your kids are able to get you to hear the timbre, the tone of their voice, the inflection. Let me just ask you, Irene, Carly drops in on you occasionally. Have you ever heard her voice?
No, I haven't heard her voice. But it's what she would say to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So it comes with a knowing. And I just ask you to don't worry about if it's your imagination. Worry about how insulted your kids will be if you diss them and say, I'm making this up. So trust it. Listen to what they have to say and say, that's beautiful. Thank you for that. Now just keep giving me things that I don't know or tell me memories I've long forgotten. Engage this conversation. Keep it going. Well, what else do you have to share with me? And you'll just open that up. I do just before we get into more questions, I have to share one more story because I got 2 little boys' stories and I have to share a girl story. And Irene will recognize this one. It's our friend Heidi has her daughter Grace across the veil. And it's been so long since I've thought about Grace's reading, but I remember sitting in my chair and I believe it was a phone reading and literally jumped backwards because this young girl came running towards me, running in green shorts. Come to find out this daughter Grace was on the track team or cross country team in green uniform. The fact that she ran at me was just so clever. I've never had a reading start that way. I believe I didn't even know if they had a son or a daughter across the veil. This is a girl. She showed me that they had a signed basketball. They did. She showed me, let's see, stuffed animals lined up on her bed or in her bedroom. I mean, one after the other. They sent me a photo of that. So a lot of great validations in that reading, but Heidi was one of my most frustrating sitters ever because I would say things and she would say, no. And then it was so obvious later. I said, Heidi, Grace is showing me she was your greatest supporter, like a cheerleader, but now she's saying, no, she was literally a cheerleader. And Heidi says, no, she was never a cheerleader. So I looked more closely. I said, look, she's showing me pom-poms and a ribbon in her hair when she's cheerleading. No, she was never a cheerleader. She shared this reading with her partner, and they ended up showing me a photo of Grace with her pom-poms and a ribbon in her hair as a cheerleader. It was years earlier and she was young. And so it wasn't like a high school thing, but definitely they had a photo. So again, this is the kind of thing I love in a reading. I love when people say no and validate it later, because that tells all of us the medium is not reading the sitter's mind. It's coming straight from Grace in this case. And like Grace, I said, Heidi, Grace is showing me she sent you a really big rainbow on a special occasion related to her, a very special date. No, I don't remember the rainbow. She sends me a photo later. They're on a cruise. It's Grace's birthday, this giant rainbow all across the horizon. So Heidi laughs that she went down in history as one of my worst sitters, but it was still wonderful because we were able to validate it all with photos later. So that's fine. And then I've shared this one over and over, but just to even out the girls and the boys, my favorite moment with Irene's daughter, Carly, was a brief reading I did for Irene when she and Tony visited us once. And I said, Irene, Carly just said, I don't want to cover up my microphone here, I'm not a prima donna. And it turns out that Irene had just led her local chapter meeting of Helping Parents Heal. Tony, Carly's stepdad, was at the meeting, and he said to everybody, in front of everybody, oh, Carly was a prima donna. Now, if that's not evidence, I don't know what is. If that's not evidence that our kids, your child, attends these meetings with you, I don't know what is. Carly's listening in, so we all better watch what we say about our kids. So, yeah.
Well,
That's what I had to share with you. I'm happy to answer questions.
that is amazing. And I love that story too. There's one from Christy that I think you would be able to maybe help her with more than maybe someone else. How do we navigate the road of these experiences with those who not only doubt that their truth, but are judgmental from a religious point of view? But obviously you come from a very different background, not religious, but also a different background than a lot of other mediums come from. So maybe you could help Christy with this question.
Oh, very easily. And I love that navigate word. You know, I'm Navy and a sailor, and you navigate by turning slightly. When a wave comes at you and it looks like it's going to swamp your boat, you just turn and handle it. You just ride the wave. You flow right over it. You can't resist the wave because it's going to smack the side of your boat. So the way you navigate people who don't see the way you do is you just send love from soul to soul, respect where they are, and don't go there. There's, you have a wonderful reading with a medium and you want to share what you know, and you go and you share it with somebody like that, and you're in this fragile state, and it can just take away all the joy and what your heart knows is true. And this is the key. You will know from your own signs from your child, from your own connection, they are still with me. Other people most often are coming from a place of fear, and they may have your best interests in mind. But when you stand firmly in what you know, not coming from a place of fear, just send them love and just don't go there. Hope that answers that enough.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yeah.
I'm going to hang on. I have to honor somebody who's here, and I wasn't planning on doing this, but I got a validation before the whole session started. My guide Brenda validated this, and somebody really wants to come through, and I wasn't going to do this, but there is a young adult here, male in spirit. He jumped off of something, took his own life. Feels like he jumped from a ledge of some sort. I need to say, if my friend Janine is here, this is not her son. Let me get him back again. Oh, okay, right. He did drink a bit much. He may have even been drinking at the time that he did this. So this is somebody's son here, I believe, this evening, because he's taken my breath away. And he had very big mood swings, but he was a real character. He had a very big personality. He was more up than down, helpful to anybody in need of help. And just he's very forceful, and that's why he's pushing me to bring him through this evening. Kind of bossy, actually. And earlier he told me, Mom has a teddy bear.
Sounds like, let's see, Gertie's son jumped off a canyon. He was an alcoholic. But Deborah's also saying it could be her son.
Okay,
So
okay. So what we do is we get are both present in the meeting?
yes, they are.
Yeah. Okay. I don't like doing these on Zoom meetings because then you get lots of people, but this is very specific evidence.
So,
And okay.
I've asked Gertie to unmute.
okay.
Hey, I think I'm unmuted, am I?
Yeah.
Yes, you
I
are.
can ask Grace
Okay, I got
also.
my video on now.
Okay. So who has the teddy bear that?
Grace, and I've just asked her to unmute as well.
I've talked to a few mediums. They keep bringing up a teddy bear. I have a prayer bunny, not a teddy bear, but I've been told teddy bear, you're the third person. So I'm not figuring out the teddy bear part.
Okay. And you say Grace has the bear?
Yes, I asked Grace to unmute. Hi, Grace.
Yes,
And
hi.
who's the one? And Gertie, you said your son jumped off a canyon. This is definitely out in nature and it's high. Grace,
That's my son.
yours also, Grace?
Yes, I don't know if you can hear me,
Yep.
Grace.
I-
He has still in his room a big bear that he wanted to give it to his girlfriend. She couldn't take it, so the bear is for years
Okay.
in his
And
room.
did both of your sons have a challenge with alcohol?
Add.
My son didn't have a challenge, but that night he had some drinks with he and
Okay. I have had cases where you get some that when you have such a large crowd gathered that
and it was in the
both come
nature
in
and it was a big fall.
that both come in together with similar ones, but I want to narrow this down more. So if you'll give me a second, the main reason this young man is so pushy is because he needs to let mom know he's okay. And of course that applies to both of you. So let me see what, getting big pressure on my chest. He is showing me a job where he worked outdoors. He has a white t-shirt on and just seems like yard work, landscaping, that kind of thing. Does that apply to either one of you?
No.
Joey worked in cornfields, but I had a light gray shirt. Oh, he worked for Dish and he had a light gray shirt, but that was for satellites, but he was outside all the time.
I think I don't want to say I think. Gertie, I've really drawn more to you, but let me get a couple more things. And it doesn't mean that you all have to understand that our kids, when we have meetings, they're all here. But for some reason, we just needed to do a demonstration of mediumship this evening. So let me get, the name James is significant. This could be somebody in the family. And let's see, he is fiddling around on a trumpet. Any playing of a trumpet with either one of you?
No.
No.
Did he ever play? Never played one.
Harmonica when he was younger.
Nope, definitely that's not a harmonica, it's a trumpet. Okay, let me see. There are always things that float in that may make sense later, but let's get something that really locks this in. He's showing me going in a bedroom and slamming the door, just withdrawing. There was some anger near the end of his life, and he wants to get the message across that this is all on him and to just set the guilt aside. I hope that resonates.
No, that's definitely not me.
That's definitely not you.
No.
Gertie, does that resonate with you?
I think he may have with his girlfriend before he left.
Okay, you can check with her. Okay, really feel drawn to you, Gertie. Let me get one more thing. Okay. He's showing me like Wild Bill out west for some reason, and he has two revolvers, like a shoot 'em up in the Wild West. I'm not sure what that's all about. Hopefully that makes sense to you. He's laughing about that. He's just a real character for sure. He would have loved to make people laugh. It's important to him to raise the mood.
Yeah.
And Mom, if not you, somebody in your immediate household had to put a Band-Aid on in the last day or two as a Band-Aid. Okay. All right. Good. So he's shouting, Mom, I'm okay. I'm okay. And this great big stone on your chest, you've just got to move it to the side. Don't like to do health things, but he's just showing how that really could actually affect your heart. Okay.
My heart is affected.
Yeah, it's palpitating.
Yeah, I've been doing tests. I keep telling Joey, you broke my heart, like in 2 different ways, emotionally and physically.
Okay. Well, let's all just send everybody here love. We all know that broken heart syndrome, but really a strong personality, because he said he was chosen as the spokesman tonight.
Oh, wow.
If the kids have a meeting and he says, talk about suicide. It's not a punishment. It's how we chose to deal with things. We're dealing with it now. It's all about love. Love yourself. We want to let you off the hook. Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. Well, I hope that's helpful to all of you, just to know how close they are. All righty. Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Thanks.
Thank you, Joey.
Yes. Okay. Oh, okay. So let's shift gears. There's such an important point I want to make. I make this as often as I can, but over and over in readings, when there was a traumatic passing, not an illness, but also it happens in illnesses. But if somebody passed as a result of trauma, the soul leaves the body, even while the body's in pain, even while the human may be expressing pain, because the soul is a higher vibration than the human body. The soul can be in multiple places at once. The soul is aware of what is happening in the body, but once it's actually leaving at the time of death, can observe this. So any of you who wondered if your child suffered, I'm absolutely not saying this just to make you feel good. I see this sign and I immediately know your loved one passed at the time of death, but they were watching it. They want you to know they didn't suffer. That to me is such a relief. And I've heard it repeatedly from those who have near-death experiences, come back after an accident, and they say the same thing. I watched the whole thing, even though anybody watching it might have thought they were suffering. So please, I hope that also brings a lot of relief to you. Okay. How about some questions?
Beautiful.
Sure. Yes. Stephanie's asking, how can we raise our frequency to meet our children in that place between where we are and they are?
The whole spiritual journey is about learning you are not just this limited person in a body. We call that the ego. And the ego is not just prideful, but our human behaviors have certain egoic traits and characters that if you're willing to look at them and work at them and shift to the soul state of being, which does not judge others, which allows others to have their opinions, that is the fastest way to progress along the spiritual journey. Doesn't mean we don't still exhibit human traits, but be willing to look at your own stuff, your own shadows, face them, feel them, deal with them, and your consciousness will rise. So the other very important key is some kind of a practice that creates space in your awareness. If you don't have time to meditate, you don't have the patience, please go to YouTube and check out my video, Sip of the Divine. I think it has about 50,000 views, close to that. And I'm getting emails from people about how helpful it is. 3 minutes a day to create space. So when your kids talk to you, they can get through all the chatter. They can get through the fog. If you can spend 3 minutes making a cup of coffee in the morning, you can spend 3 minutes to sit in peace. That's what SIP stands for. And then you ask a question each day. And before you know it, you're in the habit of doing this, and you'll go beyond the question to talking to your loved one. So I hope that's helpful.
It is. I just want to tell you that Christy is saying, what a blessing to be relieved of the image of suffering. I was just discussing that with my brother in light of my mom's passing 3 weeks ago. So when you described the fact that no one ever suffers when they pass, that's just so helpful and healing to everyone. Anna is saying, thank you. We were told our son left his body at the time of his fall and watched what happened. This confirms that for all of us, which is just wonderful as well. So thank you for discussing that.
Yeah, and just an addendum to that. So not just traumatic passings. I have a video, does the soul suffer at the time of death? Something like that. If you look up Soul and Suffer, Suzanne Giesemann on YouTube. This story, I was talking to the soul of a man with tons of evidence. He was a truck mechanic. He had cancer in hospice. Turns out he hadn't yet died. He was in his final hours talking to me while I was doing a reading for his niece. And he shared with me specific names of loved ones and a specific story that she validated later through those loved ones who he gave by name. The loved one whose name he gave was the only living relative who remembered that hilarious story about a rattlesnake. The message this man in hospice, who was unconscious and never regained consciousness, had was, it may look like my body is suffering, but I'm fine. And I know I've sat with both of my parents in their final hours, and it's agony. And I know you know what that's like. Transitioning is a lot like labor in reverse. So there's some pain for the physical body, but the soul is always fine and aware of what's going on and aware of the celebration when they're received lovingly back across the veil. So it's just a matter of shifting our perspective and our awareness, widening the lens. Very, very helpful to know these things.
There's one question that I know that you will answer, and I think that this comes up almost all the time, but it's such an important question, and I know that you'll answer it with compassion. I often wonder if our kids are missing their family and friends and wish that they were still here with us physically. Could you maybe address that, Suzanne?
Oh my gosh, I wish you could have seen me just then as you asked it. I was grabbed and just given this vision of hundreds of kids with binoculars, and they're all looking in on us at once. They're all just like, miss you. We're right here looking at you. So they don't miss us. They do at times talk about missing the physical touch, and they'll use pets to get through that way. They'll merge their consciousness with a pet and snuggle up against you. In fact, my daily way message today was about snuggling. So that's pretty cool for that touch. But they are so very much around. And they say, if you knew how much we were around, you'd set a place for us at the table. So, yeah.
That's beautiful. Irene, do you have a question? There's so many, then they're all so beautiful. Do you have one that you particularly
There's
like?
someone asking about your shift, they watched you on the Shift Network talk about your how you go through the stages, and how can they learn to do that?
Okay, well, go to the gifts page of my website and go on that page, scroll down and find 7 steps to connecting with higher consciousness. It's also on YouTube. And I teach it in almost every one of my classes. I use it to this day. I also teach abbreviated versions, but if you want to create that space in your mind for connecting, that's a really great place to start. And just trust me, there are many methods and many wonderful teachers. I just really like practical tools that work, and I'm sure other people's do too. So try it and use what works for you.
That's beautiful. I just want to come back to the animals being able to hug us so that the kids can get through to us. Gertie says, my cat ignored me until my son passed. And now I get a hug. Now I get a hug from that cat every night.
You know, as silly as that sounds, I learned this truth that that's what they do when I was visiting the house of Shining Light parents, Mark and can't remember Andrew's mom's name. It'll come to me maybe. Their son, who I knew from doing a couple readings for this family, all of a sudden was there in the cat's energy field, because the cat walked through the room and he said, I'm in here, and showed me a Superman cape on the cat. I really thought I had lost it. I thought, this is it. I've gone over the deep end. But I went and I found Anne, that's her name. And I said, Anne, did Andrew used to run around the house as Superman? She said, oh my God, he thought he was Superman. She pulled up a picture of him. He wore Superman pajamas from age 3 to 7 till they wore out. He was Superman at Halloween. She says, why? And I said, because he just merged his energy field with the cat's, played like Superman to say, this is how I get to feel you. And she said, oh my God, Suzanne, same story you just shared with me, Elizabeth. She said, we got that cat after Andrew passed, and he jumps up in bed and snuggles between us just like Andrew used to do.
Well, and there's also lots of people who talk about the fact that their dogs and cats see their kids. So they are sitting watching them and moving their heads and kind of nodding and agreeing.
Oh, yeah. And reading the audiobook still right here, just read about how Lynn and Jeff's dog Kirby was looking at Devin. Hi, Lynn.
Yes, which is absolutely wonderful. Irene, do you have one more question? I think that we have time for maybe one more question.
One mom is asking, what do our children do in the next realm?
Check out my video, what our loved ones are doing in the afterlife. They're doing what they love to do until they get tired of that, and then they try new things, and they're learning and they're growing just like we are here. They're checking in on you, they're traveling, they're experiencing life. And for me, life is an acronym for love in full expression. That's why we exist in our bodies here. That's why we exist without bodies across the veil. It is all about the experience. It doesn't mean this life is all joy and happiness. We know life is hard. But that experience, I promise you, if you write it out, will lead to some of the greatest joy and some of the greatest connections and the greatest love here and now you ever imagined. And yet knowing that your kids are still with you and enjoying their life across the veil with you, that makes all the difference in the world.
Well, this has been absolutely amazing. There are so many people thanking you in the chat box too. Obviously, there are so many people that you have positively affected through your work, Suzanne, and we're truly appreciative of it ourselves. We're so grateful to have you in this new book as well as to know that Still Right Here is going to be available in audiobook. If you guys would like, I will write in the YouTube video the different things that are coming up for Suzanne, if she can send them to me. So maybe you all can connect with her in that way. But in any case, unless there's something else that Irene or Suzanne would like to say before we sign off, we'll have everybody unmute themselves and say thank you and goodbye. What do you think? Is that okay?
That's perfect. I'd love that. I love you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Love you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody.
And
Thank you,
thanks,
Suzanne. Okay.
thanks,
Good
Irene.
night, everyone.
Excellent.